what's going on? This is Kex Next here, and I have a pretty exciting tutorial for you guys today. I'm going to show you how you can create this amazing looking spaceship inside of Blender, which is a free software. Keep in mind, this is not a modeling tutorial. I'm going to provide the model for free in the link in the description, and it'll be in .obj format, so you can use it in other 3D programs if you want. So let's jump right in. Here's a ship, front view. Here's the ship, the back view, of course. Let's just start it off. So when you open Blender, you will get this screen. Just click and get out of it. Right-click on the cube, delete it, and you also want to do the same thing for the lamp, and delete that. Now you want to hit spacebar and type in import obj, and hit enter. Now you want to access your obj that I provided for you in the link, and you just want to import it. So if you have a 3-button mouse, just hold down the wheel and move your mouse around, and you can look around your object. That's the ship. So you can see I've separated it into different parts. I have the windshield, the body of the ship itself, the thrusters, and then all the little lights all over the ship. So let's start with a proper floor for our ship. Go to the Create tab and create a plane. Hit S on the keyboard to scale it up, and just friggin' scale that puppy up, dude. Friggin' scale it. And make it just massive. Make it a huge floor. Alright, dude, that looks nice. Now you want to position it below the ship. You don't have to make it exact, but I'm going to because I like it to be perfect. So I'm going to hit 5 on the numpad to make it orthographic, and hit 3 for a side view. Just put that plane down there. That looks pretty good. Let's texture our ship now. And we won't actually be able to see any of this until we add our lights in, because it's just dark, because we don't have any lights in our scene. So let's go to the lights first. The Ship 005 Terran Lights Add. We want to go to the materials, and you can see this is a basic Blender Render material setup. And we don't want this. We want to go up here to where it says Blender Render and change this to Cycles Render. And we get a whole new loadout. Subtract this material, add a new one, and change surface to emission. And what this will do, it'll simulate realistic looking lights. Instead of having just like point lights that you've positioned all over the ship, it'll transform this model into a light, which is really great. I would turn this value up to something like 1.3, and you want to change this color to whatever color you want the lights to be on your ship. I'm doing pink because, I don't know, I feel like pink lights would look cool. Alright, and if we hit this little white sphere down here, and we go to rendered, we can see, kind of what it's doing. We can't really see the full ship yet because we don't have lights in our scene, but those are good for now. If you want to now, you can kind of change the color if that doesn't look good to you. Maybe make it less saturated, like a lighter pink. Yeah. Let's go back into solid view so that we can actually see our model. Alright, go to the engine glow. This is where we're going to light up the engines. So subtract this material, add a new one, change surface to emission, which, will simulate a light, and change the color to a kind of fiery orange. And you do not want it all the way saturated. You want to put it a little bit towards the white. It's not going to look good if it's all the way saturated. It's not going to look realistic, is what I'm trying to say. So put it right there. And you want to change the strength. And you want to make the strength, you want to just pump it up, dude. Because these are rocket engines. These are not like little flashlights. These are going to make a lot of light. So I would say something maybe like 3.8 for the strength would look pretty good. I'm going to see if that... I think that works pretty good for what I'm doing. They're like lights. I'm going to go back into solid. Go to the ship. We want to create a material for the ship. So subtract. Add a new one. Change diffuse to glossy. And we want to change the roughness to about halfway. And then we can make it, a sort of metallic color. And it'll give it a really good looking, metal look, if that makes any sense. And now we're going to go to the windshield, and we're going to change the windshield, subtract the material, create a new one, change the surface to glossy. We don't want glass because with glass it's transparent and you can see through the object. And as you can see, there are back faces in this object, but there's like no cockpit, there's no seating. It'll just show you the back side of the geometry, which we don't want that. We just want it glossy. So change the color to something that looks like glass. I don't know, maybe like a grayish sort of. And you do not want to turn the roughness up a lot. You just want a little bit. So that will look pretty good, but we won't know until we add lights into our scene. So let's do that. Create another plane and scale this one up too by hitting S on the keyboard. And you don't want it as big. You probably want it just as big as the ship. So now we want to rotate this by hitting this curve tool down here and just rotate it. And we want to go back to the selection tool, and we want to bring it up. And we want it to be a little bit, farther away from our ship. This is going to be like a very bright light. This is going to be the brightest light in our scene, so we don't want it very close, or it'll just completely screw up our scene. So for this plane, create a new material. Set the surface to emission. I'm going to leave mine at white. You can change yours if you want. And I'm going to set this to 5. Actually, you know what? I'm going to set this to something like 2. Just 2.0. And if I hit rendered, now it's a light. And now we have a really nice looking light in our scene. I might move it a little bit closer, but not much because, again, it'll ruin your scene if it's too close to the object. Let's go to solid, and to duplicate this, we want to hit Shift D. And you can kind of see it's all waving around everywhere. It's not on the same axis at all, and it's not perfect. So, if you want it to be on the same axis, you can hit Command, and then the first letter of an axis. So if you want it on the Y-axis, you can hit Command Y, or on the Z-axis, you can hit Command Z. But I want it on the X-axis, so I'm going to hit Command X. And that way, I can just move it on the X-axis. I want to rotate this. It just can be flat. It's not going to be perfect, but I want it to be flat. And we want to subtract this material from it that it has on it right now. And that's because since this is a duplicate plane, if I change the settings for this specific material, it'll change the settings for both planes at the same time. And we don't want that. We want a new material. So change the surface to emission. And I'd say probably 0.8 will work good for the strength. And with this plane, actually, we want it a little bit closer to the model. And now change this color to something, just, whatever you want. I'm going to do a nice cyan. Yeah. So now if we hit render, or go into the rendered viewport, kind of see what this looks like. And it's starting to look really good. In fact, I might even change my lights to that color. And by the way, you can go back and edit these materials if you want. So just go into the lights, the materials tab, and go to the color. I can have them plain white if I want, but I don't know. Maybe red lights. That might look pretty cool. Yeah. So that looks like a pretty good ship. Now let's say you want to save this image, or just save the model. If you want to save this as a model, you want to delete all the planes we made and just have the ship. And then you can export it with file, and then export as a OBJ, which is wavefront right here. But I'm going to make an image. I'm going to show you how to make an image. So go to the world tab right here, and you want to change the color of the world, make it a little bit darker. And this is what I had the preview images as. I had the world as black, but I think I may have mine a little bit lighter. I think that looks pretty good to me. I'm actually going to go and edit the windshield material settings and make the glass a little bit darker. Yeah. Alright. I'm going to go to the camera, the scene settings, and see what right here where it says 50% in the resolution. Change that to 100 so it renders in 100% quality. Also change your resolution to whatever you want. I'm using 1920 by 1080p, which is a 16:9 pixel aspect ratio, but you can use whatever you want. I recommend a 16:9 pixel aspect ratio because that's what most people's phones are. So, then you want to go into the sampling, change the render to 512. I don't know why 512. That just seems like a good number to use. You can set it higher or lower or whatever you want, but for me, 512 works pretty well. And then I'm going to change the preview to something like 500. And what this is doing, instead of just rendering it like cycling through this until it gets it accurate 32 times, it's going to slowly do this 500 times instead of just 32. And it'll look a lot better and get rid of all that graininess that you see. So now we want to use our camera. We want to align our camera. So hit View, go to Align View, and hit Align Active Camera to View, or Control-Alt Numpad 0. And whatever is in this box is what the camera will render. So this is what the camera's render will look like. And I don't like that. I want it to be a little bit, less zoomed in. So I'm going to zoom out with my viewer, and then hit View, Align View, and Align Active Camera. And that looks pretty good to me. Now I'm going to hit Render, and it's going to take a little while for you guys. I'll speed it up in the video, but you guys are going to have to sit through it. Alright, now as you can see, my scene is done rendering. To save this, we're going to hit F3 on the keyboard. And we just want to name it something like Ship. And I have 3 on my desktop, so I'm going to do like ship_3. And I'm going to save this to my desktop and just hit Save as Image. Alright, that's the final product. It was fun working with Blender. It's a new experience for me. If I've done anything wrong, or if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. And I will see you next time.